Hey guys, Sean here. I'm a divorce attorney, and one of the things I do on this channel is I talk about divorcing toxic and narcissistic people and giving advice and strategy on how to do that. During my years as a divorce attorney, I've represented a bunch of toxic people and narcissists, and I've litigated against probably even more narcissistic and toxic people. So one of the things that struck me this morning in the car that I wanted to make a video about is the times that I ended up representing a narcissistic or toxic person. How did I realize that? What I do about it? How can someone recognize that, as an attorney, we're very careful to kind of filter out toxic people who have unrealistic expectations for their case. But as we all know, a lot of toxic and narcissistic people are really good manipulators. They're really good at selling you their sad story and convincing you that they're something that they're really not. And so most of the time, when one of these people contacts our office for a consultation, my intake person catches the fact that they're just, they've got really super unrealistic expectations. They are, making these really weird, controlling type demands of us already at the consultation. These are all red flags that, I've worked with her to pick up on to make sure that, hey, if anyone calls with this, we're not going to schedule a consultation. But sometimes they will slip through the cracks. And they'll come across like a reasonable person with realistic expectations and reasonable goals in the case. And so we'll move forward and agree to represent them. We'll let them become a client. And then at some point midway through the case, we'll start to see the red flags. Usually it's in the discovery process. They'll refuse to give us documents that are just mandatory. Or at the settlement conference or the mediation, they'll say they want one thing. When the other side agrees to it, suddenly it's, oh, no, I can't. I'm not going to agree to that. No, it needs to be this other bigger thing, or I need to get more. They're constantly wanting to push for more, regardless of if it hurts the kids or if it places the other spouse in a really harmful position. They don't care. And then they'll start blaming the attorney, for things like that. There's just unreasonable things that aren't the attorney's fault. Well, why didn't you tell me that I needed to, turn over these tax documents? Well, we did actually. The day you hired us, we sent you a really long list and we followed up with you 10 times about it. And it's just the blame will start to come on the attorney. Some of the narcissistic abuse, the gaslighting, the love bombing with the devaluing, that'll even start coming toward us. And then when we see that, when my team and I see that, we're already starting to, pull away from that client and starting to make suggestions to that client that probably a different attorney would be more appropriate for them. But the problem is most lawyers don't do that. Most lawyers, as long as their bill's getting paid, they have absolutely no problem with their client abusing their staff and watching their client abuse the other party. It's really messed up. And I think it's why, there's a lot of emotional harm that's caused in divorce. I mean, it's an emotionally harmful process anyway. But I think it's made worse with, lawyers, the divorce lawyers, who have no problem just letting their client continue this cycle through the divorce process. And there are lawyers out there who have no problem helping their client use the divorce procedures and the laws to drag out the case, to really punish and make the other side suffer emotionally. And, I've seen people go through the divorce process and just never come out the same way when it's over. They go in one person and they come out someone completely different. And that's why, I always advocate for, if you're going to be divorcing a narcissistic or toxic person, have a team. You've got to have your own personal team set up. And that's going to be, first hiring the right divorce lawyer, someone who understands narcissism and what toxic people do in divorce, and who has a plan to combat it right off the bat. And I mean at the consultation, when you're first talking to this lawyer, thinking about hiring them, they need to be able to clearly articulate to you a set strategy that they use successfully over and over to deal with this toxic litigation, because it just happens all the time. The next person on your team is going to need to be, well, multiple people, hopefully, is going to be friends and family. You need a support system around you to support you. The problem here is if you've been in a long-term relationship with a toxic or narcissistic person, you've probably been isolated from all those people in your life. Friends, family, best friends. You're not allowed to have other relationships that, steal your undivided attention away from that person, right? So you got to start reaching out to those people, trying to remend those bridges to get those relationships back up and running. Because it's very important that you have that that emotional support, as you're going through the process. Finally, is a good therapist. A lot of you who are, coming out of these long-term narcissistic and toxic relationships are going to have, post-traumatic stress, CPTSD, the complex post-traumatic stress. And, the only way you're going to have the ability, I think, to make it through this emotionally grueling process of divorce against a narcissist is if you've got a good therapist that you're seeing regularly. A lot of them are covered by insurance. And it's got to be someone who's got experience, maybe a trauma therapist, someone who's got a background in trauma therapy is going to be really important. Because if you have finally pulled yourself away from the narcissist, there's going to be a wide array of different tactics, whether it's trying to hoover you back into the relationship or just trying to make you suffer, and using the kids to make you suffer. It's a wild ride, right? And they're going to try to make you think, and in most cases, that it's easier to stay with them than it is to leave them. And so you just have to know that that is the end goal for most of your toxic and narcissistic people when you're getting a divorce from them. And you just have to remember that every day. You don't give up. They're going to have you to the point where you're actually entertaining the thought of, hey, should I just give them the kids? Right? Would it be easier just to give them the kids? No, it wouldn't. Think about the kids, right? Are the kids going to be emotionally better off if they're raised 100% of the time by this person? Right? The courts might give them 50-50 with the kids, but they're going to need that other 50% with you to have some sane balance in their life and their upbringing. So anyway, listen, I'm not going to go on all day. I am going to start making a lot more videos on this channel on this topic because I have had a lot of people requesting this, in the comments and directly to me. So this is your first of many. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you hanging through to the end. If you like this video, please hit that thumbs up icon. Really helps us out. If you want to learn more about the process of divorcing a narcissistic or toxic person or any other areas in the law, subscribe to this channel. Putting out videos every day on different topics, mainly related to family law, also celebrity and current events. This divorcing toxic people, it's a passion of mine to really spread the word because I've just seen so many people just emotionally ravaged by this process that a little bit of knowledge, if there's a little bit of extra knowledge that they have going into the process, it can make such a huge difference. Anyway, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.